Yeah, it's funny. We've been given these hands, this opposing thumbs, and we've been given this intellect, and we've been given all this power to be the overseer species of this planet. But we have to go through this phase, maybe 1,000 years of this insane amount of destruction, causing animals to go extinct, stripping our planet of everything you could ever imagine. And then something happens. The human consciousness has to shift. We can no longer use this planet as a punching bag. We have to start using this planet as a resource that replenishes itself, feeds us, gives us raw materials, does these incredible amounts of things for us. That day is in our future. It is not here right now. We are not intellectually capable of accepting this beautiful gift that was given to us. We are not capable of understanding how this interconnectivity, how it all works, how these plants communicate with us, how all life is so interconnected, how this diversity is like a well-lubed machine. It can create so much energy. We've got all those things wrong. And, it's a real danger that we don't shift this human consciousness in time, because we are running out of misusing Earth life's energy. At one point, plant materials can't recover. At one point, the fish in the ocean can't lay enough eggs. At one point, our pollution levels have gotten to such a stage that nothing will grow anymore. Our farmers have depleted our soils beyond anything that is repairable. So that is the direction humanity is going towards. Selfishness, greed, all these things aren't helping that cause. The lack of connection of our younger generations with this planet is a disaster. It is a nightmare waiting to happen, because these younger people are going to be the decision makers in the future. And it's going to get tough for them to even understand what nature is capable of doing. And that makes it very, very scary for the human race to survive this beautiful place. And if we keep going on this pathway, there is going to be an incredibly complicated regenerative process to get this planet back to the level we are at right now. It's going to be expensive. It's going to be tiresome. It's going to require incredible amounts of tolerance and patience and understanding and knowledge. And the human race might not actually be capable of pulling it off to get the Earth back to where we are today. We are heading in a direction where we might not be able to save what we have right now. Yeah, I really think something's changing on our planet. I think what's going on is the Earth is being used as a punching bag. When you are fighting a bully, they will usually pick on the weakest element. And they have this idea that nature never speaks back, never complains, never talks back, doesn't cause any legal suits. Whatever it may be, Mother Nature is very silent. Now, for example, let's look at this example here in Ecuador. They've never had a drought like this. It's never been this bad. And the Amazon River and that whole delta there is completely drying up. So what would happen is, in the real scenario, is that water would evaporate, the jungles would create all this moisture, it would travel this way, hit the Andes, cool off, and it would rain. But that humidity is missing, that moisture is missing. So nature does speak up. You know, when the oceans are empty, it's like, hey, buddy, you've overfished me. I can't keep up. The herring can't lay enough eggs to keep up with what you're taking out of the ocean. So if we truly think that we can keep doing this to the environment, we're completely mistaken. And this idea of human consciousness being so aggressive towards nature is something that has to change very quickly. And that change is very different than what you would think, stopping fishing and stop cutting down trees and all this. It helps. But we're at a state of emergency now where we're at a level where our human consciousness has to consider nature as an essential entity for us to even exist. This problem of our younger generation, they've never sat in a place like this where there's lizards coming out to check out what's going on. There's plants growing that are doing things that you can't even imagine. There's food being produced here. There's life happening. There's mice running in between here. There's rats doing their thing. It's interesting that we have this entire generation of young people that have no understanding of what it means when something is working in harmony, when there's this connectivity that's going on, when life is acting in such a way that it is helping itself move forward. These young people and even a lot of older people have never experienced that concept of diversity helping itself. And diversity being a necessity, keeping everything alive, keeping everything moving forward, keeping plant material covering the planet, getting rid of bare soil wherever we can. And it doesn't have to be that complicated. We make it so complicated. Get grasses on the bare land, get things covered again, get things moving. If there was a mine that was stripped out, force them to replant it. It's like it's not as hard as we make it out to be. And why isn't it as hard as we think it is because nature has this incredible force, power, energy, life energy. Life wants to stay alive. Plant materials want to start growing, flower, go to seed, and go again. It's a cycle that they want. They want to keep going. They want to keep growing. And we make it so complicated. We just don't understand what the power of nature and what it really, the intention of it is. So if we kind of sat back and said, look, let's start to understand this energy. Let's start to understand what nature can do for us again. What does nature need from us? What kind of help does it need? Where do we need to go to make sure that nature can continue on its journey? And I'm talking in more extensive ways. There is all kinds of technology now. In Africa, they're making these semicircles, they're planting them up. The rains come, they fill up the semicircle, and they stay there 10 times as long. The plants have time to flourish, then the next rain comes, it fills up these half circles again. There's so many technical options. Humanity is evolving in such a way that we can save this planet. And it probably will be saved, but we have to go through this mass extinction and lack of food and destruction before we can even consider getting to this level where we understand that without nature we're nothing. And that development is going to be very important for our future generations, our kids. And most people, I don't know how to describe it, they have this complete disrespect to this forward movement of nature. You know, you cut something down, the forest or the trees or the grasses come back in and they start to grow it again. We cut it back down again. It's like we don't have this foresight of what is really needed. We have plants with incredible, let's call them specifications. If you do 20 acres of bamboo, it changes a huge area into something that is letting moisture out. It's the best plant for turning CO2 into oxygen. It has such a huge leaf surface. We have all these tools, all this energy, all these ideas that are not being brought to fruition. We have this immense amount of built-in energy in seeds, for example. Seeds are so powerful, they can do so much, but they need from us a starting point. They need the push. They need us to put them in the ground. They need us to, water here and there. We need to look after everything. It is this idea of humans stepping back, but still being in the forefront of maintaining nature. That's all we need to do. We don't need to do anything else. But there's this real misunderstanding of us wanting to control everything, wanting to benefit from everything, wanting to harvest everything, wanting to take. This idea of taking is, this selfishness is, it's really actually hard to understand how humans have turned into these monsters. It all goes back to this misunderstanding of what nature really is. Let's look at all the fruits and vegetables. So you have a table, you have all the fruits and vegetables on the table, and you say to yourself, wow, this diversity, is like affecting my taste buds. I'm tasting all these different things, and the diversity of this food is insane, and how did this happen, and how did we get all this delicious fruit in front of us and vegetables, and it's very simple. Nature is based off of a diversity protocol. What I mean by that is this protocol has a mathematical formula behind it to have this planet as diverse as it can be. And guess what? The same entities that made human life, animal life, are the same entities that made plant life. There is a communication between this plant and myself. We've lost that ability for us to recognize this interconnectivity that's going on. It's insane how insensitive we have become towards nature.